As coronavirus continued its unrelenting nationwide spread Sunday, President Trump added 30 days to his social distancing guidelines and went on a bizarre rant implying foul play in New York City's heavy use of urgently needed face masks.
Speaking after a manufacturer said an unnamed New York hospital's mask usage had increased more than tenfold since the virus outbreak, Trump donned his tinfoil hat and insinuated a dark conspiracy was taking place.
Something is going on, and you ought to look into it as reporters, the paranoid prez ranted in the White House Rose Garden. Where are the masks going? Are they going out the back door? How do you go from 10,000 to 300,000 masks used per week, and we have that in a lot of different places?
They have to look at that in New York, he added.
The crazed comments came after weeks of pleas from leaders in New York City and beyond for face masks and a long list of other medical supplies.
Earlier Sunday, Mayor de Blasio said the city has enough supplies to last another week, going out of his way to praise the feds for equipment shipments to date.
His spokeswoman Freddie Goldstein dismissed Trump's rant as absolutely ludicrous.
There is no hoarding or conspiracy going on here, she tweeted. Just a simple fact, our doctors and nurses need masks. That's the sad, unchanging truth unless the federal government steps up and protects our frontline workers.
At Sunday's 90-minute-long press conference, Trump extended the voluntary national shutdown, initially set to expire Monday, to at least April 30. The feds are urging Americans to avoid large group gatherings and encouraging older people and those with pre-existing health problems to stay home. Americans are also urged to work at home as much as possible and shun bars, restaurants, shopping trips and non-essential travel.
The better you do, the faster this whole nightmare will end, Trump said. Therefore, we will be extending our guidelines to April 30 to slow the spread.
As of Sunday morning, the country had about 125,000 confirmed cases of COVID-19, while the death toll reached over 2,100.
Trump recently predicted the U.S. could be back open for business by Easter, which falls on April 12.
But Sunday morning brought a stark reality check from Dr. Anthony Fauci, the government's top expert on infectious diseases. He predicted 100,000 to 200,000 Americans could die of coronavirus and millions could end up infected.
Whenever the models come in, they give a worst-case scenario and a best-case scenario. Generally, the reality is somewhere in the middle, Fauci said on CNN, before repeating his estimate in the Rose Garden. Looking at what we're seeing now, I would say between 100 and 200,000 deaths. But I don't want to be held to that.
Meanwhile, a top White House economic advisor said millions of Americans reeling from the economic impact of coronavirus will probably get checks from the feds in 2 weeks, though he added there's no magic wand to restore the economy.
It may not be perfect, but I think it's going to give a tremendous amount of resources to get us through what we still believe is going to be a question of weeks and months, Larry Kudlow said Sunday of the recently passed $2 trillion relief package on ABC's This Week.
I can't wave the magic wand. I wish I could, he added. I spent all my career being an optimist and trying to promote economic growth.
The deal included one-time payments of $1,200 to individuals making up to $75,000 a year and $2,400 to married couples without kids making up to $150,000. Qualifying families get an extra $500 per child.
Kudlow said the feds would also make $350 billion in loans available to small businesses within a week.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi voiced fury at Trump on Sunday, saying, as the president fiddles, people are dying.
Her remark echoed the famous phrase from ancient history, that the Emperor Nero fiddled while Rome burned.
We should be taking every precaution. What the president, his denial at the beginning was deadly, Pelosi fumed in an interview with CNN's Jake Tapper on State of the Union. She said Trump's initial downplaying of the crisis has cost lives. The other day when he was signing the bill, he said, just think, 20 days ago everything was great. No, everything wasn't great, Pelosi said. We had nearly 500 cases and 17 deaths already. And in that 20 days, because we weren't prepared, we now have 2,000 deaths and 100,000 cases.
She also slammed delays to sending medical equipment to hard-hit localities and said the country still needs to ramp up testing efforts.
While Gov. Cuomo and de Blasio have come under fire for their initial responses to coronavirus, with his owner saying as recently as March 13 that New Yorkers should go about their lives as usual, the White House's coronavirus response coordinator held up the state as a model for the rest of the country to follow.
At this moment, we are asking every single governor and every single mayor to prepare like New York is preparing now, Dr. Deborah Birx said on NBC's Meet the Press.
At Sunday's press conference, Trump made a rambling reference to his upbringing not far from Queens Elmhurst Hospital, one of the hardest-hit health care sites in the city.
This is essentially in my community in Queens, he said. I've seen things that I've never seen before. I mean, I've seen them, but I've seen them on television in faraway lands. I've never seen them in our country.
With News Wire Services.
Latest coronavirus updates. Click here for our roundup of the most important developments from NYC and around the world.